Hey, this is Ian Westerman. I'm the head pro at EssentialTennis.com, where it's my mission to bring passionate instruction to passionate tennis players. Welcome to episode number 32 of Ask Ian. Today I'm going to be answering a question from Jake Fox, who wrote to me on, I think Facebook. And he said, "Hi Ian, please could you make a video on how to beat your opponent mentally and how to perhaps frustrate them on the court?" Thank you so much. Jake, that's an excellent question. And the first thing that I thought of when I sat down to write a couple notes to plan out your reply was kind of the simple, basic approach that I like to prescribe for strategy, whether it be singles or doubles, and that is to create an evil plan. And what I mean by that is simply just two things. Figure out what your opponent dislikes the most as far as their game is concerned, what they are most uncomfortable with, what they really dislike hitting, and then make them hit that as much as humanly possible. And this is something that a lot of players feel a little bit squeamish about, like they don't want to be mean to their opponents. Well, in my opinion, if it's a competitive match and it's something that counts and you've been working hard in your game, that's exactly what you should be doing, is trying to exploit their weaknesses and make them as uncomfortable as possible. That's going to be the easiest way for you to win any given match. So for me, mentally defeating your opponent and maybe making them frustrated kind of goes along the same lines. Finding out what makes them annoyed, what makes them frustrated, and then go to that. Now, I want to be really clear that I'm not advocating gamesmanship. That's probably maybe what it sounds like at first. Gamesmanship to me is purposefully doing things that are explicitly just for the sole purpose of annoying your opponent. And that could be any number of things. You know, they ask for a ball and you hit it, away from them into the corner, so they got to walk and go get it. There's a million different examples of gamesmanship, being late with calls, or not making a call, and then the point's about to start and you say, "Oh, that was out, it was my point," or whatever. Doing little things on purpose just to annoy your opponent is gamesmanship. That's different from what I'm advocating, which is figure out what frustrates them tactically or strategically, and then just hammer that over and over again. That will frustrate them and very likely pull down the level of their play and make them emotionally, unstable. Now, does that mean? Well, truthfully, it just depends on how badly you want to win. And again, I'm not advocating that you do whatever it takes to win. I'm not, advocating making bad line calls or, again, gamesmanship. I'm not saying those things are okay. They're not okay. You should be doing whatever is within your ability, within the guidelines of the rules, to do what works and to do what puts your opponent off balance and makes them uncomfortable and gives you the advantage. I mean, that's your right as a competitor and within a competition like this. So you should be picking out what annoys them and then go to it and hammer it over and over again. Don't be apologetic about doing that, by the way. Again, as I mentioned when I first began this answer, I think a lot of players maybe feel badly about picking out a weakness and then going to it. But I'll tell you what, if you win the first set 6-0, there's a clear mismatch, then sure, fine. There's no reason to purposely run up the score and just destroy your opponent if it's not completely necessary. If we're talking about a match that's within a break or two per set and it's close, you should not be apologetic in the least about picking out a weakness and going to it again and again and again to frustrate your opponent. Now, last piece of advice that I'll give you, Jake, is something that has worked really well for me personally, and I see it happen all the time on tennis courts, and that is for you personally to be as calm as possible, to be as collected as possible, no matter what happens on the other side of the net. Sometimes you're going to play opponents who try to rattle you purposefully, and maybe they engage in some gamesmanship, or maybe they come up with an amazing shot. And it's a situation where most players would be really frustrated and they would kind of get rattled by that and emotionally get dragged down. If you are very deliberate about having a neutral response no matter what they do, a lot of times that'll rattle a lot of players. And just an example that immediately comes to mind for me was playing a match in college where I was playing an opponent that I mean, I knew that I was going to beat. I was very confident about how my strengths matched up against his weaknesses, but he was fighting really hard for the win. He was kind of a try-hard, kind of opponent. If you've been playing, competing for any length of time, you probably know the type of person I'm talking about. So this opponent hit a really, really excellent shot. I think it was probably to break my serve possibly, maybe to go back to even in the set. And he had a really enthusiastic response, obnoxiously, enthusiastic, like celebrating his shot, which was a good shot. And we go to change sides, and as we're walking towards each other, I had a smile on my face. And this would be a scenario or situation where it would be perfectly natural for me to be really annoyed or upset and down on myself. And that particular day, for whatever reason, I was extremely confident, and I was just kind of, inwardly, just kind of like, celebrate all you want, but I'm going to win this match. So I handed him the ball, the balls. It was his turn to serve, and as we changed sides, I didn't do anything external other than just have a smile on my face, and it rattled him really, really badly. He literally said to me, "Why are you smiling?" Like he was offended by the fact that I had a smile on my face as I was handing him the tennis balls, so that he could serve in the next game. I didn't respond. We changed sides. And it was very obvious that this really, really bugged him, that he just hit, an incredible shot. And not only was I not annoyed, but I was perfectly happy. So that's just random, small example there. And again, I didn't do this purposefully to annoy him, but it did annoy him because I remained calm, I remained under control, and in fact, I was perfectly fine with it. I was completely confident that I was going to go on to win the match, and I did. And that kind of response a lot of times will rattle your opponents and give you a big emotional upper hand. So thank you so much for the question, Jake. I really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube today and you've enjoyed this video, do me a favor and click like. Also be sure to subscribe to the Essential Tennis YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future videos that we're constantly publishing on a regular basis. And if you have any comments or questions, leave those down below in the comments, and maybe I'll answer your question in a future episode of Ask Ian. Until then, take care, thank you for watching, and good luck with your tennis.